Some Volkswagen models, like the Golf, are household names, no doubt about it. But others, like this one, probably not so much, at least not yet. This is the Volkswagen Arteon, the brand's flagship passenger model. And put it this way, if Volkswagen's tagline is premium for the people, then this is the most premium. And the people, well, they're the ones who might normally be shopping for an Audi, a BMW, or a Mercedes. The name Arteon, by the way, comes from the Latin word for art, and it's meant to be a nod to the design focus that's been employed here. And spoiler alert, looks pretty good, right? But we'll get to all of that and everything else, as well as answer the most important question: can the Arteon mix it with the premium brand big boys? We are going to be covering everything here, from pricing and features to design, practicality, what's under the bonnet, efficiency, safety, ownership, what it's like to drive, and of course my overall verdict. But if you're in a hurry, feel free to jump ahead at any moment. And to make that even easier for you, we're going to pop the time codes up here so you can scrub ahead whenever you feel like it. But otherwise, stay with me as we get up close and personal with the Volkswagen Arteon. But before we get moving, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss a video, and bookmark carsguide.com.au for your daily new car fix. The Arteon carries an unsurprisingly premium price tag when compared to the rest of the Volkswagen range, but it's still cheaper than some entry-level models from the German premium Big Three. And you do get a lot of stuff. In fact, some paint and a panoramic sunroof are really the only options you can even tick. The range is offered in Elegance and R-Line trims, and the former is offered with Volkswagen's virtual cockpit digital instrument cluster, along with a head-up display and a central 9.2-inch touchscreen that pairs wirelessly with your mobile phone. Outside, you get 19-inch alloy wheels and full LED headlights and taillights, while inside you'll find ambient interior lighting, climate control, keyless entry and push-button start, as well as a leather interior trim with heated and ventilated front seats. The R-Line is the sportier feeling option and adds carbon leather interior trim with bespoke bucket-style sports seats, 20-inch alloy wheels and a more aggressive set of R-Line bodywork. It's really all about the looks here, and while the shooting brake is particularly handsome, the liftback looks premium and polished too. VW tells us that injecting a bit of sportiness was a key aim here, both inside and outside, and that's particularly true of the R-Line model, which rides on those bigger 20-inch alloys compared to the 19s on the Elegance, with their own bespoke and aggressive design. The body styling is more aggressive too, but both trims get lashings of chrome along the bodywork and a sleek, swept-back style that does look both premium and sporty. No matter which Arteon model you choose, there's no doubt the cabin experience has been elevated a little bit from what you might normally find in Volkswagen product. What could be hard plastics have been swapped out for these soft materials, and even with this stitch effect across the dash here, and it's all just a very elegant, understated but tech-savvy space. In the R-Line, however, there are some exclusive items, like these sports seats, for example, super supportive. You kind of sink into them almost like bucket seats, and they have this quite cool carbon effect on the leather, which is meant to look a little bit like carbon fiber, but is of course soft leather, otherwise it'd be horrendously uncomfortable. And remember I said it was quite tech savvy? There's some cool things there as well. So this new steering wheel, for example, is filled with these touch sensitive buttons that don't just react when you push them, but when you slide your fingers across them too, much like if you were using an iPhone. So if you want to turn the volume up or change songs, for example, you can either click or slide. It's the same for the aircon controls. You turn the fan up or down by sliding your finger, and same with the temp controls, up or down. And you can hold it in the middle, and it'll automatically default to 22 degrees, which is widely considered the perfect cabin temperature. There is some seriously clever packaging at play here, because this back seat is just way bigger than you might be expecting it to be. I'm legitimately sitting behind my own 175 centimeter driving position, and as you can see, there is miles of room between my knees and the seat in front, and despite the gentle slope of the roofline, I've got enough headroom too. So a very spacious, very usable back seat. That liftback style boot opens to reveal a long and wide space, although it is a little bit shallow. And elsewhere on the practicality front, your backseat riders are very well taken care of with air vents with their own temperature controls. This flap opens to reveal a USB port and a power outlet. There's clever little phone pockets in each of the front seats. And this pull down divider opens to reveal 2 cup holders to use as well. Now there's the usual array of ISOFIX attachment points and child seat anchors. That's a pretty good story for upfront riders as well, who get their own cup holders, their own bottle holders in the door, their own USB ports and power outlets, and of course, wireless phone connections. Both Arteon trims get a 2-litre turbocharged engine, but in the Elegance, that means 140 kilowatts and 320 newton meters and front-wheel drive. But this is the tune I really like, the R-Line, which is 206 kilowatts, 400 newton meters and 4-motion all-wheel drive. Now, both those engine tunes pair with a 7-speed DSG automatic, and both have a pretty nifty trick up their sleeve. They're fitted with a petrol particulate filter, which is basically designed to clear some of the nasties out of your emissions when you're driving around. But it does come with something of a catch. Volkswagen says it's very, very, very important that you use premium fuel and only premium fuel. Otherwise, you risk shortening the life of that filter. And speaking of fuel, all Arteons are fitted with a 66-litre fuel tank, and in the Elegance, you'll need 6.6 litres per 100 kilometres on the combined cycle. Well, this R-Line, you need a little bit more, 7.7 litres per 100 kilometres, again, tested on the combined cycle. Now, full disclosure, the only Arteon I've really spent any time in at the moment is the R-Line trim. But in my defense, I've done a lot of kilometers, somewhere around 400 over the last 24 hours alone. So I am confident that I know what's going on with this car. And I'm equally confident, again, despite not having driven the Elegance yet, that this is the powertrain you want. I really like this engine tune. I love the power, I love the torque, and I feel like cars that want to be premium should feel effortless. You never want to hear them or feel them straining or struggling to create power. And in this car, that's definitely the case. It has plenty of go on tap, so much so that you can kind of glide and waft around as you might expect from a premium vehicle. But what I really like about it is this little button here on the center console, which allows you to choose between the drive modes. So there's eco, comfort, normal, sport, or individual. And today we're going to go to sport. Now, I don't know if you can hear that, but it creates this real deep rumble of bass in the exhaust. It kind of just changes the nature of the vehicle and encourages you, inspires you to unlock more of that power because it sounds great doing it. And when you do that, you notice that actually it's really dynamically sorted. Now, you could label an argument, I suppose, that even in its most comfortable settings, it might be a little bit too firm for some drivers. Not for me, to be fair, but some people do like to glide over road surfaces rather than feel like they're really connected to it. I'm the opposite. I like to know what's going on beneath the tires, so it doesn't bother me. But when you dial it into its sport mode, that's when its dynamic prowess really comes to the fore. It feels really well sorted. It feels like it's low and flat, sits low to the road, never rolls around, has plenty of grip, especially with this all-wheel drive system on board. I was driving through one of those torrential rainstorms that seems to be a fixture of Sydney's summer this year, last night on the freeway, and I just felt utterly confident from behind the wheel, which is always a good thing. So if you consider what Volkswagen was probably going for here with this model and the Arteon in particular, they're going for a car that feels a little bit more premium than regular Volkswagen product, and they're going for a car that feels a little sportier too. Now, to be honest with you, I think they've nailed the second one. It definitely feels a little bit sportier, a little bit more dynamic, and almost like a GTI or R model in some of the ways that it handles corners and grips the road. Away from the sport stuff though, and I'm sure when I change it this time, you'll be able to hear the different note. So now we're back in comfort mode, the bass of the exhaust disappears, and it feels more like a kind of gentle, wafty, premium feeling vehicle. Now, can it really compete with brands like BMW, Audi, Mercedes? I mean, why not? A lot of those vehicles are bought on badge credibility alone, of course, and when you really dig down to the spec list and the power output of this R-Line and its price, it certainly seems to stack up on paper. Now, Volkswagen's on the record as saying they're not expecting to sell too many of these, really. In fact, they say they're just excited to be able to bring some interesting models to the Australian market. And this is certainly that. It's an interesting product. It attempts to bridge the gap between mainstream and premium. And it does it in body shapes that are often forgotten in Australia these days. Liftbacks and wagons. And having spent plenty of time behind the wheel of this car and having racked up plenty of Ks, I got to tell you, I really quite like it. In fact, the only kind of slight tweak I would make potentially is to the ride quality, which I do feel might unsettle some potentially older buyers. But apart from that, it's a really, really solid offering. Essentially, if Volkswagen make it, the Arteon gets it. Think front, side, full-length curtain and driver's knee airbags, as well as Volkswagen's complete IQ Drive safety suite, which features a fatigue detection system, AEB with pedestrian detection, park assist, parking sensors, rear traffic assist, lane change assist, adaptive cruise control with lane guidance, which is essentially a level 2 autonomous system for highways, and an around view monitor. The new model is yet to be crash tested, but the last model scored a 5-star rating back in 2017. The Arteon is covered by Volkswagen's full 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and will require servicing every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. It will also get Volkswagen's cap price servicing offer. The Arteon's not going to be a huge seller in Australia. It's not an SUV for one, and even in the passenger car space, it's not playing in the biggest segment. But if you do have this on your test drive list, I reckon you might be in for a pleasant surprise.